Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch the Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grimm Show and co-produced by Mr. IVEST. I am the Dude.
And I am Grimm. And today we are going to address science, dear science that is, and that's what we're going to talk about by TV on the radio.
Yeah.
2008.
Just so you know.
Third. Oh, I knew it. I just don't have it. Third release.
Yeah,
by TV on the radio.
Yeah. I guess right off the bat, where would you rank this, dude, in sort of their catalog? Pretty
high. I mean, I don't know that I'd put it above the first record of theirs, just because that was, you know, when it came out, I was like, whoa, this is something kind of different. But I'd have to put it in the top 3 for sure.
Yeah, it's
Seeds
definitely
is really good.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I know it's interesting to, you know, when you kind of read discussion forums and which ones people like the most and everything. And I don't know. I think a lot of people maybe don't like Seeds as much. I love it. Like, I love that album. And I always liked, you know, Desperate Youth and Bloodthirsty Babes. I like that one a lot. And then this one, though, I don't know, this one just hit differently with me. And I just really liked it. And so this one's I'd probably actually put it at number 2. I'd probably put Seeds 1, this one 2, and then their you know, Desperate Youth first.
Okay.
But man, it's tough. It's one of those bands where it's like, dude, they don't have, I mean, what do they have, 5 or 6 albums ish? And you know, it is sort of I guess a smaller catalog. But they're all real solid. So it is kind of tough to rank them there.
Now, unfortunately, this is an album that it has been very difficult to really find out a whole lot about. I know that you had mentioned you watched an interview, dude, and they kind of talk about a lot of the, let's say, I love this word, the geopolitical landscape at the time that it was written and recorded. And so obviously there was plenty of good content out there to incorporate into lyrics and inspiration for songs. But unfortunately, you know, I'd love for like a little mini documentary, hell, even a good interview, written or video would be nice, but there is just not much out there at all.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating for an album that is just, I think, this badass. And the production on it is just fantastic. Like, there's so much going on, so many layers that it would just to have something, you know, technically in depth. We don't need to, you know, I guess I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, hey, you know, please explain what this song means. You know, it's like, I want to learn more about the creation of it, you know, and I just think it would be great if there is some sort of a, you know, more information about the production of it. And if anybody watching this has that, definitely send it our way, because I wasn't able to find anything on YouTube or Google really. Just, you know, I found a few interviews and stuff here and there was a lot of stuff on, you know, the 10th anniversary when it came around in 2018. I believe they toured again and they kind of played this album in its entirety and everything. But yeah, it's a little lean on sort of the behind the scenes stuff. So unfortunately, we're not able to give probably as much in-depth info as we usually are on some of our episodes.
So to counter that, not a little lean is the fact that at 50 minutes, it was chosen to be put on 2 LPs. Am I correct in that?
No, it's only one, dude.
It's only one?
One.
Oh.
Single disc, bro. Single disc. Yep.
Congrats, dude. Yep. Thank you. More people should be like you. TV on the radio. I am so proud of everyone here right now and TV on the radio. With that said, though, I do remember picking this up when it came out because I was a big fan of the band at the time. I think maybe the year before or something, I believe we caught them at Lollapalooza. They would have been on tour with Return to Cookie Mountain, which was also a monumental release. One thing I can say that's interesting is, so this was recorded at a place called Stay Gold Studios, which was,
Brooklyn,
emphasis on was, in Brooklyn, New York. Now, apparently that was Dave Setek's own studio, and I believe it unfortunately closed like the next year.
Oh, okay.
But you can understand that, right? I mean, you got a complete like economic meltdown in '08, and so that's going to carry over. You know, that's not just over right away. That's kind of going to go in waves. And then he made a comment. There is an article in my favorite publication of all time, Pitchfork, but it's a good article, and it talks about his studio closing and how it was sort of like this beacon of cool in the Brooklyn area and the New York music scene. But they said that the rents in Williamsburg just got so prohibitive to anybody being able to do anything like that anymore that I think the comment was the rising rents forced a lot of talent out of Williamsburg, I think was the quote. Which, real bummer, right? But from the pictures that I saw of it, it looked like a really cool place. And I mean, you know, it's definitely, it'd be a cool place just having a nice studio where you feel welcome. But like when that's like your home stadium, you know, it's like, you know, the guy, one of the guys in your bands owns it, happens to be a record producer, your record producer, and is in your band. Like that's definitely your home base. So that's a bummer that wasn't able to continue after.
Yeah, definitely. No, it is. Yeah, you're right. It's like the homeboys and the away boys, right?
Yeah.
Like it's nice to be able to have that. Well, and it's interesting too, because, this is this album. I don't want to say it's a political album, but it took place at a very interesting time in our country. G.W. Bush, the little guy, was wrapping up his reign. We had the war in Afghanistan going on. We were just beginning the biggest financial crisis, at least we had ever seen in our lifetime. And so a lot of stuff going on. And one thing I will say is a lot of the lyrics in the songs are very interesting. They're in my mind very sophisticated. Like a lot of times I'll be listening to to any of their albums and any of their songs, and I think it says one thing, and then I go through and I'm like listening to the album, I'm like reading it with the captions on and everything. I'm like, oh wow, that's what he says. I was like, I've been wrong for like 5 years.
We didn't mess up on that one lyric though that says foam injected Axl Rose, right?
You're right.
That's awesome lyric.
Awesome lyric. Yeah, it is. It is pretty good. But so, dude, just I don't know if you saw this, but your boys at Pitchfork gave it a fucking 9.2, man.
Well, of course, because apparently the stars aligned then, and like what they thought was cool was also cool for other people. Then it's just that now it seems that it's just not cool enough. Like I wonder what would happen if that album came out now.
Right.
But at the time, good. I mean, they were just sort of this outlier of a band, really. I mean, because I remember getting Desperate Youth and Bloodthirsty Babes, and it was kind of like, whoa, this is different. I'm interested.
Yeah.
And of course, I think that was just at that spot where like the two parts of like the graphs sort of just hit right, you know, the circles overlapped.
Right. So in one of my, I was talking a little bit about the lyrics and stuff, but in one of the, I guess, sort of articles that I found about it, basically they said, what is, I can never pronounce his name correctly. Tunde Adebempe. Is that, I mean, I sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but essentially he said that leading up to the tracking of the vocals, he did an enormous amount of acid in hopes of erasing his personality, of escaping his agony. And then, quote, I needed to do that, if only to learn that was not the best idea, he says. So this whole catastrophe and all of this shit, if you can share it with your friends, it'll give you some kind of strength or joy. So I found that to be interesting.
Yeah.
you know, I do consider it's interesting. I mean, you know, I guess I always associate, you know, doing hallucinogens with like psychedelic music and everything.
And this kind of is psychedelic music, but
in its like own way, right?
Hip hop, you know, some other things.
Hip hop and punk, and like it just has, there's some just, there's a lot of different things.
Where do you go to do a lot of acid in Brooklyn, in New York?
That's a good question.
Dude, the thought of actually being in there and having that experience seems just awful to me personally. Yeah. But that's what a friend said.
Yeah. Speaking for a friend. Yeah. So, and then I do have one bit of information about
with the group.
About the title of the album. Did you read that? I'm not sure if that was in the. Okay.
Yeah, that's why I kind of tried to play on it, because it was like Dave Sitek. They made it as almost like he was writing a letter. Like, right? Yeah. I tried to play on that in the intro, but it didn't really fall so well.
It didn't land. Yeah. But anyways,
just like the podcast.
Exactly. You know, it's gonna, one of these days, man, one of these days, we won't be appreciated in our time, I'm sure. But yeah, he wrote, I guess, on a note or something in the studio, and it says, "Dear Science, please start solving problems and curing diseases, or shut the fuck up."
Yeah.
And I just think that's, you know, the only problem with that now is people don't really, there's so many people who don't believe in science. So most people would just be like, shut the fuck up anyways. They wouldn't see the humor
in it. Yeah, they would.
Yeah. Yep. So,
but but that's also kind of a bit of idiocy in thinking of science like as some being on its own. It's a method that we employ as human beings to find things out and to,
right.
You know, it's not its own entity. It's a way. This is the way.
This is the way.
Says Baby Grogu.
Yeah. Or yeah. Oh, you're into that? Oh, interesting, man.
Oh, dude. Once your kid starts watching it, dude, you're of course
you're in.
No.
So I did. There was another interview, and basically it did talk a little bit about their, you know, I guess. I wouldn't call it the production or even the motivation, but basically, you know, they said that this album for them is a, you know, sonically, it's a lot cleaner than the others. And sort of just even the motivation behind that is like, okay, well, you know, we tried, you know, our previous albums have been like this, so let's try going the other way. So it's just kind of like stepping into maybe, I don't know if I'd say uncharted waters, because I don't feel like this album is a huge departure, but it's like, hey, well, let's mess around. Let's try things a little different. It's certainly not
guitar driven.
No, it's definitely not that.
And to me, it feels more sample driven than a lot of things, but really just interesting textures. I mean, regardless of their past work or whatever you think about, like sort of their evolution, it's just an interesting use of a lot of different sort of textures and elements that maybe you wouldn't have thought of, but they work together really well. Which, I mean, it's funny because a lot of albums, you know, and really good ones that we like, you'll look at sort of the panel of reviews that they get. Some of them are unanimously good. Some are not so good, and some are mixed. And this one, it seems to be very much unanimously praised. And I think it was at the time and even now, which is sort of interesting. Because I feel like with so many other things, someone's always going to call a foul on it, even if, you know, everyone thinks it's pretty great. But this one doesn't seem to be that.
Yeah. Well, some people do it just to do it, right? Mm-hmm. You can't please everyone.
Well, dude, they don't make statues of critics.
They usually don't. So, you know, it was interesting in the interview. The interviewer asked him a question, and they agreed with this. And I'll read you the question in a second. But I got to be honest, like, I don't know if I agree with it, and I'm curious what your thoughts are. And the question essentially was, is it difficult for you guys avoiding temptation to keep adding tracks to songs? Dear Science feels less suffocating than the last record. And, Tunde said totally. I think this time there was this thing of knowing that, we'd finally got to the right point, and then leaving it alone. We didn't need like this solid boot of sound coming out of the speakers. I guess where I disagree with that, I feel like this album has so many layers. Like when I listen to the songs, there's a lot of transitions. There's a lot of layers to the song. Maybe they're not as upfront and like in your face. But I do feel like, maybe they didn't keep adding tracks, but I still feel like that, I wouldn't call this album, I guess in my mind, like stripped down. I don't know.
No,
what do you think?
I don't think it's stripped down, but in some songs, like some of them feel fairly full all the way through. Like Halfway Home to me is a pretty full song. The drums come in just crushing, and there's guitar in there. It's kind of heavy, but there's a lot of other songs, even like Crying to a Degree and Family Tree, where there's space.
Yeah,
there is just space, and there's breath, and that's kind of what I feel like. Not to say that it isn't layered and it's not lush and there's not a lot going on, but there's like conscious use of empty spaces in there.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the Dark Side, documentary where Roger Waters is like, leave a hole, right? Yeah, like kind of like for that. Where you don't need to fill like every moment full of as much sound as you can. Okay,
dude, so that note you can play as a rest, bro.
Exactly.
And rests are the original beat drops.
Nice. Well, maybe this is really all the information I had on the album.
Yeah, if anyone else knows, I mean, please like, subscribe, comment below, and leave something in the notes.
On the Joe Grimm Show.
Because it would be really cool to know literally anything else about this.
Yeah.
I do.
Absolutely.
One thing that they did cite, I do want to say real quick in the wiki article, was that when they did that appearance on Colbert, and I guess he was a fan of them, and they played Dancing Shoes, which I remember watching that, and I was like, wow, that's the one they chose. But that one is such a statement in red. That's like. That was like Radiohead doing Idiotech on SNL, really. I mean, it was, because that song is just really in your face, and that's where the audience is like, whoa.
Wait a minute.
Amazing, dude.
Exactly. So yeah, dude, I think we should get into the tracks here. Starting off with track number 1, Halfway Home.
Like I said, it comes in with a bang, man.
Dude, it does. We always talk about how an album starts and how important it is. But I love the energy that they bring right away when, with this song. And it pretty much stays consistent throughout the track. It has like this pulsating energy. It's,
and it builds up a little more in the end with guitars. I love his choice of notes that he sings. Like when he does that. That's really that's the part that does it for me. And I have to say, like, even from the first time listening to it, I would say this has always been my favorite song in the album.
Yeah. Oh, really? Okay.
So I'm not. Okay. I just, spoiler alert, this is not the one.
Oh, all right. Well, speaking of his vocals, and I mean, I'll bring this up throughout probably this album, but man, the way he uses his vocals, and he like does those, just even sounds and things like that. He uses his voice also as like kind of an instrument. And I think it's really cool. And he also just changes it up a ton too. He can like speak the words, or he can sing, and then he can go falsetto, and like, man, and he'll do all of those within one song. And it's very, very diverse, man. It's a lot of vocal textures.
Yeah, it's like he took that idea that sort of Yoko Ono came up with, and he was like, here, check this out. This is what it would be like if it didn't suck.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yoko.
Yeah.
Oh God, she's.
I listened to that yesterday, the Rock and Roll Circus, and she's still just as terrible as ever.
I know. It's kind of like you just like
you had to fuck it up. They had such a good.
It's one of those things that like every time you're like listening to it, you're like, oh, maybe she won't do it this time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then you were
but
like,
no,
there it is.
No, just a kick in the dick. So, all right, track number 2, Grimm. Crying.
I think Crying is, to me, halfway home. I love the song, but to me, that could have popped up on Return to Cookie Mountain.
Okay.
It just it has a very similar vibe. I could see that. I could see that of popping up on that album. It's not too different than like Wolf Like Me in a lot of ways.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But to me, this one is like, okay, we are in new territory.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? With the way the horns kind of bounce around,
dude,
and it's just it's got a very just different vibe to it overall.
Yeah. And dude, and that's one thing with this album, man. This is, I don't know if this is like their Exile on Main Street, but dude, they use the horns and the brass on this album a ton. Also, now, and I don't remember it as much on Desperate Youth and then on Return to Cookie Mountain. I just, I don't remember. I haven't listened to those albums in a long time, but it's very prevalent throughout this whole album. Right? Very, very prevalent.
There is, and see, that's what I will never forget. Why I thought they were so trippy when I first heard them is because it started out with this little sax run, and then the sax is doubled and played these sort of odd intervals and like sort of dissonant sounding things, and then the guitar just came in over it. So the horns had been there since like the first time you put one of their albums on, but I don't think it was quite used like this.
Yeah. That's what I don't remember. This is like it's just such a different style and feel. It's because
they had Bobby Keys for it.
What? Really?
No.
Okay.
That would be so sick.
I was like, man, dude, I've missed that in the notes. Shit. Fail. F.
Yeah.
Dude, so another thing with this song, though, is you want to know what it actually reminds me of, especially at the end when you get that keyboard, that dude, it reminds me so much of Letdown and how Letdown kind of ends a little bit
on
OK
rundown.
Computer. Yeah, it does. Like it's kind of fun. And I didn't mention this. I don't believe, I don't know. I didn't see it in Crying, but dude, they use the claps a lot. I'm talking about the clap. But dude, there's always just like, there's just like always this clapping throughout the album and so many of the songs.
A lot too, I believe.
Yep. But before we move on to Dance and Shoes, dude, one line that I just love in this song is when he's like coke in the nose of the nobles.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just so funny, man. It's so funny.
Is Crying the one that starts out where he's like, hey, Jack, fuck your war?
Oh, that's Red Dress.
That's Red Dress. Okay,
Yeah. Then we move on. Track 3, Dancing Shoes. Not Dancing Shoes.
Yeah.
Dancing. You gotta choose.
Yeah.
Choose.
It's a choice.
He's a what? He's a newspaper man. And he gets his best ideas from a newspaper stand. From his boots to his pants, to his comments and his rants. He knows that any little article will do.
We get a lot of clapping again, but dude, the way he starts off singing, it's almost kind of like, I don't want to call it a rap, but it does have that kind of like, I mean, maybe it is a rap.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
it's a lot more in that style than like singing a rock song. I mean, if you had to put it on one pedestal or another, it would definitely go on, the sort of like, it's just got that delivery. It's real. It's all about like the syntax and the rhythm of it.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting the way I feel like, I don't know if I'd call it his cadence necessarily, but the way, I guess, maybe his cadence, or just the way he sings it. It sounds like he's almost like singing at you or preaching at you.
Yeah.
And then it transitions over to, in my mind, or I'm in my mind, I'm breeding butterflies.
And that's what I think is cool, because it has like these two very distinct parts, but they complement each other really well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Foam injected Axl Rose, bro.
Yeah. And then foam injected Axl Rose. I mean, I don't know. I'd be curious to see what Axl thinks about that.
I don't even care. It's one of the best. Like, I'd be flattered just to be mentioned in a TV on the radio album.
I mean, and also at this point in his career, he probably should.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not fucking.
Yeah. Any press is good press at this point for him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, track number 4, Grimm, Stork and Owl.
This is slowing it down a little bit.
Definitely slowing it down. Chills the album out, because it's pretty much, they do have some songs that definitely ebb and flow, and that's one thing they definitely will do. I've noticed a lot, and throughout this album, they'll have songs that just kind of start off and then they, get big and they really build up and stuff, and then they kind of dip back down. There's just peaks and valleys, and I noticed that this song kind of has that as well. One thing that really stood out to me, and I noticed this in a few other songs, but in this one, there's a part about a minute and 10 seconds into the track where they have like, it's almost like, it's like a plucking string sound. It's almost like,
going to say that's
okay.
Pizzicato strings. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay. Is that what that? Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's
great.
An actual sample, or if that's like could be a Mellotron sample. Yeah. But I like the way they use that, because it's. And I think they have. I believe there's like what sounds to be like some sort of a cello run underneath there. So I think that's kind of a nice touch to have with that, because you like the texture of the strings, but I think we unless you're really a classical musician, a lot of people just associate strings with sort of that big, like breathing sort of cadence, and they forget that you can have those little sharp. It's like a whole other side to the instrument that you don't think about.
Dude, totally, man. Like, just it's like somebody woke up one day and was like, "Oh, you can use it this way too." Yeah. It's just such a cool, unique way to do it. Yeah. But this song to me is one of the most unique on the album. The rhythm of it is almost, I find, hard to follow. It's kind of, I mean, I don't know anything about time signatures or anything like that, but it just seems a little, I don't know, kind of up and down. And not that it makes me feel uneasy, but I'm trying to it's almost like I'm listening to it. I'm trying to kind of like figure it out and like where it's going a little bit. So,
do you feel more like the stork or more like the owl?
Who? Who? All right. Track number 5, Golden Age.
Was this a single?
I have those upstairs, I believe, or not upstairs. Up in my, yes, it was the first single, and Dancing Shoes was the second single.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I thought this was the single.
Yeah. Now, this is Golden Age, not The Golden Age, like off of Beck's Sea Change. So this could have been a song to the same name.
And if it was, this is my choice. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Okay. Yep, I agree. Dude, this one might be the funkiest song on the album. Like they there's this song, and then I think there's one a little later that's got some funkiness to it. But man, this one kind of really goes,
because of that chopped up really beat, goes at it.
Yeah.
You know, and just the simplicity of just the bass going back and forth between those two notes and that chopped up rhythm, and of course coming in falsetto, which is sweet because it's in complete contrast to like everything else that's going on.
Right.
And then you get the big sound of when they go into the Golden Age part.
Let the golden,
Now, one thing I thought
the age of miracles.
Yeah. One thing, miracles and wonders. Don't cry, baby. Don't cry.
Yeah.
Name that tune.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Now, one thing I thought was cool is it was the weirdest thing, but it just said that in 2009, this became like a staple cover that the band Fish would do. And that's actually not a joke. That is in the article. And I just thought that is really an interesting, cool thing. Yeah. And I could see them doing a cool version of it too.
Yeah.
You know, not as good as this one, but I mean, yeah.
It's funny though, man, because not many, a lot of people, I guess, I'm going to be judgmental here. I feel like a lot of Fish fans might not know that this is a cover, I guess.
Oh, at least not at first listen.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, this is a new song. I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
But
they're like, was that on one of the Dick's Picks dead?
Yeah, definitely.
On one of the cassettes.
Yeah. That's wow, that is the dead, but yeah.
No, I know, but I was just kind of saying that for people who didn't know what Dick's Picks was, because you might think of it as like an inappropriate sort of phone messaging thing. But in this case, it is a collection of live tracks that people put out by the Grateful Dead.
How the times have changed, huh?
Yeah.
So, dude, this is another one, man. It's got a lot of clapping on this track. And it's funny, dude, because he even sings, like, clap your hands if you think you're in the right place. Like, I just thought that was funny. Yeah. I was just like, wow, yeah, he's not shying away from it. Not at all. But this track, and it's weird, man. Some of their stuff on here, and this is when I was talking about the layering of stuff earlier, in a sense reminds me a little bit of LCD Sound System, when in their songs, how they layer things. And it's just like, a lot of times a song can start off very simple, and then all of a sudden, yeah, it has this slow build. And before you know it, there's like 50 layers of different things going on that just all of a sudden just kind of crept up on you. And I feel like, this song and this album actually has a lot of that in it.
Yeah, I can see that.
So moving on, Grimm, track number 6, Family Tree, which on my vinyl will close out side A. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
okay, that makes sense. Basically, you got to split it.
Well, it's kind of funny. I think I told you before. When I got this album, I bought it off of iTunes when it was first available. And this was like back in the day when, 2008? Like, I didn't even have an iPhone then. So like iTunes
download. Boy, that's a weird thing to think back on.
Yeah. iTunes and downloading music and all that stuff. That was still like kind of a newer thing, and you had to like plug your iPod in and then transfer the songs over. Like, dude, it was kind of a process, man. Some kids out there may not fully appreciate it. They just think you should just be able to hit a button. Didn't work that way. But when I downloaded this album, for some reason, it only downloaded part of it, and it put this as track number 1. And then I think it maybe put the first part of the album all behind this. So for the first couple months of me like listening to this album, I was like, oh, this is the first track. And this is like, so that's initially how I always listened to the album. And then somehow I figured it out that, oh yeah, there's like all these other tracks, or this is in the wrong order. So
dude,
like, it's kind of weird.
Totally had that with Old Dirty Bastard Return to the 36 Chambers. When I actually listened to that on streaming, I was like, whoa, I know you know all the songs, but you're like, this order actually makes a lot more sense than the way I've always heard it.
Yeah.
But for when you first told me that, like offline, it was funny. I didn't realize that the cuts were just in a different order. And so in my head, I'm like, man, you must have thought that was a short album. Yeah, I mean, it would have been what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it was. More of an EP, really.
Yeah, definitely more of an EP. But so it's kind of funny, man. Like, then I started listening to it, and all the other songs were in front of it, and I was like, well, that's interesting. Because I kind of got, dude, it's just a weird thing. I got used to, like, hey, this is a cool way to start the album, just like the way the piano comes in, everything. I mean, obviously very different than Halfway Home, the way the album starts with that.
And I can't diss them because I'm so happy that people had the foresight to put it on a single disc, but I also think that Family Tree would have been a cool way to come into side 2.
Side 2. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that.
Just a thought. But, dude, when you're at 50 minutes, man, you got to... I understand why they did what they did, and I respect that.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been a great way to start side 2. Hell yeah. So, let's see here. But anyways, I think this is, I really like the song. It stays, very, very, pretty much consistent throughout.
A good thing about like, a good example rather of them just sort of embracing the space, exploring it. Just exploring
space. Yeah. Well, in an interview, I don't know if you read this, but they asked him the question. They're like, Family Tree seems quite personable, from like a lyrical perspective, and dark too. And then they, talk about some of the lines: in the shadow of the gallows of your family tree, there's 100 hearts or 3 pumping blood to the roots of evil. Is this song about desire to transcend your own history in a sense? And basically says, the song specifically is in the direction of love. Wherever somebody experiences something like a racist or homophobic parent saying, I will cut you out of my life if you decide to be this way, which is obviously a very damaging thing. But he kind of, he's like, it doesn't even have to be a generational thing. It's just the idea of someone thinking they have jurisdiction over someone's heart, which seems to be such a bizarre thing to me. To me, it's about things I've seen people, or I've seen things happen to people. And I know where someone from an older generation, maybe they're protecting the person, but actually they're kind of fucking someone over, someone, in the younger generation, in the name of fear. It's like, and you see that obviously in our society and our culture. I mean, that's
absolutely
like racism and people being, I guess homophobic and all that stuff. I mean, dude, it's like apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? A lot of the time. So, it's interesting, and it's so, sort of that message, like the feel and the sound of the song though is really interesting, because it sounds it sounds very soft to me, and very just, so it's almost it's a good contrast there for really what it's about.
Yeah, no, that's well said.
Yep. Track number 7, Grimm, this is your song, man.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, fuck your war.
Hey, Jack, fuck your war.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't think those are the words, but
dude,
what does he say?
I want to look it up now.
Okay, it's hey Jack Boot. Hey Jack Boot, fuck your war. I don't know what Jack Boot is. What's a Jack Boot?
Okay, so I was real close. I missed one word.
Again, it is one of those things though, where it's like, oh man, I hear that, and dude, that's what I've been saying for whatever since 2008 too, and then I was like, oh okay, I don't even hear the boot part, but
I don't either.
Yeah, but again, dude, this song is pretty funky too, man. It is a really interesting beat.
And then that whole like go ahead and put your red dress on part that's got the horns, and again,
I know, right?
It's kind of like Golden Age's cousin, but it's a little more aggressive. It's a little more aggressive instead of being a little more like chopped up and, for lack of a better term, funky. I know that we're technically not allowed to use that word, according to some YouTube listeners.
No, it was actually Redditors, but
Redditors.
Dude. Again, though, even the vocals and stuff in this song, a lot of it seems a little free flow and stuff to me. Kind of the way he sings it and everything, and and even it's interesting. How you were saying, this isn't really a guitar kind of album or anything. I find the guitar that like it plays these weird little pieces just kind of in the background, just doing these like weird little, I don't know, riffs and noodles and things like that. That I don't know. I just find it interesting,
but still not driven necessarily. But that's what I like is, when the guitar doesn't have to necessarily drive it, it just becomes an accent piece, a spice, if you will.
The spice of life. Dude. All right. So this is the point in the album for me. Like this next 3-song run is like, this is what I look forward to, this, like the whole album. And we start with track number 8, Love Dog.
thing that always jumps out to me is the Rhodes on Love Dog, man.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. It would have to, it's got such a thick, smooth sound, and it kind of, I think the Rhodes is really good at having a somber tone when it wants to, and this song is kind of that.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely does. Like it starts off pretty simple and basic, and then we got the clapping again, and then, and I don't know, man, he just does it so well. And then, he's got
excellent clapper.
Dude, really, he's got the clap.
He's lucky that the lights just weren't going on enough.
Exactly, dude. I know, clap on clap, yeah. But dude, it's pretty dreamy, and I love the way he does his ooze.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. My favorite line, probably of this whole album, is in this song, and that is, "Patience is a virtue until its silence burns you." Like, ooh, I just,
wow. That one's a good one.
That one's always cut pretty deep.
Yeah,
pretty deep.
That is a really good one.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah. I don't know why is that doing that? Oh, okay. I don't even know why I'm putting a quotation mark in my notes, but I just wanted to make sure, like, I finished it off, so I'm grammatically correct. Also, dude, this song has some picking, but it sounds like almost like picking of violin strings.
That would also be considered pizzicato. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just that term's more or less reserved for any instrument that's traditionally bowed to play. But if you pluck the strings,
pick it, it's pizzicato.
Pizzicato.
Learn something new every day.
There it is, mate.
There it is. Check that off the list. I got it on my to-do list. I should put that. Did I learn something new today? That's a good thing to have on your to-do list. All right, Grimm.
Shout me out when it's that time, because we're about to shout it out here.
Yeah.
Now, I like this. This is a complete change of mood, but it really, I've always liked this song. I like his cadence. The whole way it's sung is just the note choices.
Yep.
It's really nice.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. There's one thing that I kind of like at the end, like the guitar part. Again, it's not guitar driven, but at the end, it's got this real fuzz, and it's just kind of like playing really kind of fast and everything, and just doing stuff. But it's interesting, when I was listening to it in headphones, there's two guitar parts essentially kind of like doing the same thing. So it feels like they recorded two guitar parts. They didn't try to have them mirror each other. It was just like, hey, I'm going to put a guitar part in, and it's just going to be kind of like all over the place and fuzzy and whatnot. And then they're like, all right, we'll do it again. And then they just put both of them in, and they put one in the left ear and one in the right ear.
Yeah, which I would do that because it makes everything a lot thicker. But what's cool is if a lot of it's the same, but there's this subtle variation, it's a nice effect, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought it worked really well at the end of this song. It gets gets fuzzed out. Speaking of fuzz, Grimm, dude, DLZ.
I don't even know what that stands for.
I don't know, and if somebody does, please let us know. But it doesn't matter, because it's whatever it stands for has got to be awesome. Like, dude, it's this is, this song and Love Dog, I think, are my two favorite on the album, and I just love the energy of the song, the way he sings it. He sings it with some attitude. And it's like it's just a badass song, man. It just really is. And he kind of like the way he sort of attacks the vocals and everything. I just really like. And then the females,
beginning to feel like the dog has a bone.
Exactly. And then the female vocals of the la la la's are really, really nice too.
I know.
And dude, the
I
words,
like sort of the vocal effect when he does this is beginning to feel like the long-winded blues of the never how they kind of
never
loop
mind
that.
death professor dude, I feel like this song actually needs like sort of the lyrics to get broken down. Now we're not going to take time to do that, but this song just has some of the best lyrics and like word combinations that I find to be really, really interesting. And just, I don't know, just kind of pleasing, like eternalized, objectified, things like that. So
never you mind.
Yeah. Never you mind, Death Professor. Love is life. My love is better. So, yeah. Then Grimm, last track of the song, last track of the album, Lover's Day.
Oh, but the longing is terrible, wanting hard under attack. I want to love you all the way off. I want to break your back.
Dude, starts off with the sleigh bells, man.
Yeah.
You know, but definitely get a little break. I mean, I feel like from pretty much, you know, Love Dog, Shout Me Out obviously brings the energy, and then DLZ. This one starts off, you know, you get that kind of like we were talking about earlier. You get that a little bit of time to breathe a little bit, but
and
then
it's not as dark. Yeah,
definitely not as dark. Definitely not as dark. It you know, it fills up with sound. Definitely, they fill it up again and bring like a lot of the orchestration and stuff back in. Really, you know, lots of saxophone on this song and everything.
Yeah,
right. You know, and it is sort of like this lover song, you know, give me the keys to your hiding place. I'm not going to tear it apart. I'm going to keep you weak in the knees, try to unlock your heart. But then I think my favorite is I'm going to take you, I'm going to shake you, I'm going to make you come. That's some solid lines there, dude. Some solid writing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dirty.
Doesn't leave much for the imagination, and why would you want to? Dirty birdie. All right, Grimm.
Have we gotten to that point in the show?
We have gotten to that point in the show. I think we've covered our favorite songs. It sounds like yours is Halfway Home, and mine's sort of a jump ball between Love Dog and DLZ.
Yeah. Now we come to the point where we're going to scratch it.
Yeah. I think, you know, so we're talking about science, man. Maybe we scratch it, maybe a microscope, something like that. What do you think about that?
Broken beaker.
A broken beaker, dude. Yeah, not like Beaker from Muppet Babies. Like, we're talking about the one from science class, yo.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll cut right through that CD or vinyl release.
Or vinyl. Yeah.
Might even fuck your MP3 up. It's so sharp.
We can only hope. All right, Grimm. Are you going first or am I?
I'm happy to.
Okay, go for it, man.
I think the album could be bookended so beautifully by Halfway Home and DLZ.
Yep.
I would cut Lover's Day, man.
Give me the keys to your hiding place. I'm not gonna tear it apart. I'm gonna keep you weak in the knees. Try to unlock your heart.
So it's interesting that was sort of where I was at and thought I was at, and then I listened to the album again this morning. If we had gone to overtime, I would have chosen Lover's Day, but man, I really listened to the words again today, and I was like, man, I kind of like the words. I really do.
I think I know what you're gonna cut.
I'm actually gonna cut Stork and Owl.
I knew it.
Oh, in your arms, safe from the storms.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew it. To me, those were the only two choices.
Yeah. To me, it just.
Now that there is a choice, we get it. It's perfect. Like, just play the game.
Yeah.
Play the game.
There's something about it where it's just a little. The song is a little too subdued and sort of like rhythmically for me, a little off balance maybe. And so that's kind of where I had to go with that one. You're 100% right, dude. Though, I mean, look, book ending it, like, dude, ending with DLZ. I mean, dude, just what a badass way to end the album. I mean, really, so I cannot argue with your Lover's Day cut because, dude, you're just going to end. Dude, that just like is like a statement. That's like a ballsy way. Dude, talk about like, dude, the all-time mic drop. You know what I mean? You're just like, and we're fucking out, you know? Yep. So, yeah, definitely. So
let us know, what would you scratch if you had to below? And, you know, again, any interesting facts about the album, because this is a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
It is. So, And we have also done an episode on their album Seeds. So if you guys like that album, I do believe we had some more information on that album than kind of the background information we were able to get on this one. So definitely, if you love that album, if you love TV on the radio, check us out. We got a whole bunch of other stuff.
Man, the information on that one, I'm glad I picked up that vinyl when I did, according to what you said yesterday. Jeez.
Dude, Discogs is
just not out there anymore.
It's not, man. I need to get some Seeds, man.
And it's probably the coolest one I had, like one of them.
Oh, dude, it's badass. It's badass. So I'm very, very jealous. Very jealous. So, all right, Graham, I think that wraps it up here.
It does. It's time to go.
All right, time to go. The Dude
and Grimm Show. Dude and Grimm Show. Scratch the Track is produced by the Dude and Grimm. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tins. Copyright 2023. The Dude and Grimm Show.